All right, let's move on with some business headlines now with Stephen Carroll. Good morning, Stephen.
Hi, Catherine.
And we're going to be talking about the payments that have been made to unblock computers in that cyber attack that we've been talking about.
That's right. We know that most of the computers affected by that are in Ukraine and Russia, but it's also struck businesses across Europe and the United States as well. Now, ransomware functions by blocking a user's access to their computer until they pay a sum of money using the digital currency Bitcoin. Now, a Twitter account set up by the website Quartz is tracking the payments that have been made to one of the Bitcoin wallets being used by the hackers. Now, earlier on, they had estimated 36 payments had been made, totaling over $9,000. The average payment being made is around $300. This is a similar method used to the WannaCry ransomware attack that happened back in May of this year.
And American authorities are saying if you are hit by this ransomware attack, you shouldn't pay up because there's no guarantee you'll get your files back. Is this news causing any impact on the markets today?
Not so much so far, which might be explained by the small numbers that appear to be paying up from those ransomware attacks. European shares starting the day in the red. It is technology firms that are leading the falls there, but that's following on from a trend that we saw on Wall Street on Tuesday. Shares in Nestle, consumer goods group, up over 1% after announcing a major share buyback. In Asia, it was a similar picture. Shares generally trading down. Investors there focused on what the central bankers Mario Draghi and Janet Yellen had to say in their speeches on Tuesday.
All right, moving on to Mumbai next, a city of skyscrapers. Donald Trump has one of them, and his property business taking a hit in Mumbai from a tax deadline. Do tell us more.
India's new goods and services tax comes into force from this Saturday. Ahead of that deadline, many companies have been offering discounted products to encourage consumers to spend. That includes apartments in the half-built Trump Tower in Mumbai. The Lodder Group, which is the Trump organisation's business partner in the city, slashed more than $100,000 from the asking price of apartments in an effort to attract buyers before the new tax comes into force. The Trump Tower is the group's flagship investment in India's business capital. After the price cut, three-bedroom apartments are now selling for around $1.5 million.
Oh gosh, that's quite expensive, isn't it? Back here in France, we've got news about farming, fruit farms in particular, that say they're having trouble recruiting enough people to pick the fruit. It's a pretty basic job, isn't it? Very important.
Yeah, it's a job for some 200,000 people every summer here in France. For some, it's welcome work in parts of the country where unemployment is often above the national average of 10%. But farmers, they say this year they're having particular difficulty in finding workers, and many are resorting to bringing in staff from abroad. Andrew Hillier has the story.
France's supermarket shelves are overflowing with strawberries. They come from fields like these, where labourers toil away on a daily basis to meet consumer demands. These workers are guaranteed the French minimum wage. It currently stands at €1,150 per month. If they gather more than 1,110 kilograms of fruit, they're paid an additional 96 cents for each extra kilo. But this year, producers are struggling to find enough strawberry pickers. One of the reasons is the difficult working conditions.
It affects my back and my legs because we have to walk a lot in the fields.
It's true that people are often indifferent to the work. Sometimes people just aren't motivated enough. They say that it's too hard, and they quit.
For the first time, Thierry is having to rely on 15 Moroccan farm labourers to carry out the work. But it wasn't easy to bring them over. First, he had to prove to France's employment agency that he couldn't find any French seasonal workers. Then it's up to France's immigration office to do the hiring. It's a complex process that has led many producers to illegally employ workers, paying them below their minimum wage.
All right, one final story from Stephen, combining one of my favourite news items and something that puzzles me entirely. Kangaroos and self-driving cars.
Yes, apparently kangaroos are confusing. self-driving cars in Australia. Volvo has spent 18 months trying to develop its technology to be able to detect kangaroos and avoid them when their cars are in self-driving mode. Now, kangaroos pose a particular problem because of the way that they move. Volvo's technical director telling ABC in Australia that when they're mid-flight, the cars are unable to accurately measure how far away the animals are. Now, it's already fine-tuned the technology to detect other large animals like deer, but it insists the kangaroo dilemma won't delay the launch of self-driving cars in Australia. This is actually quite a big issue. Australia's Road Safety Authority says there are 16,000 collisions with kangaroos every year, so you'd want to make sure your car is prepared.
I just am baffled by the whole self-driving car thing, and I think more power to the kangaroos, personally. I think self-driving cars, it's just wrong. It shouldn't happen.
Could be very practical.
It could be very practical, but all power to the kangaroos. Thank you very much, Stephen Carroll there. With the business news...